ES Audio.
I need you.
Heinz' latest marketing campaign is about irrational love. A commercial inspired by real tales of super fandom for the brand shows people dipping their ice cream in tomato ketchup, sneaking sachets of the stuff into fancy restaurants, and even getting tattoos. I wonder where that story came from.
Ed Sheeran has a tattoo of a Heinz ketchup in his arm. You can Google it, you see. And it was not paid or asked by us at all. He did it on his own, and it's a big tattoo. It's not like a tiny one.
Rafael Oliveira is the international markets president of Kraft Heinz, which earlier this year teamed up with Ed Sheeran to launch a range of hot sauces called Tingly Teds. Over 150 years, the brand has developed a customer loyalty that's the envy of rivals and the inspiration of many's a marketing team. But surviving that long comes with challenges. Right now, perhaps the biggest one is the global cost of living crisis. How do you keep a family favourite affordable and a cheaper alternative off the table?
It's something that you struggle, again, with creativity. How do you develop new packs, new price points, but at the same time allow us to continue investing in the business, in our brands, and in our people. So it is a challenge, but again, that's what we are here for.
I'm David Marsden from the Evening Standard. There's lots to talk about with Rafa, from how his upbringing in Brazil taught him how to negotiate with people to what's the best way to get ketchup out of a glass bottle. But this show's called How to Be a CEO. And while we're always asking about those big, difficult issues, and we'll do that again here, I don't think we ask the simple stuff enough. Like, what does the international markets president of an organisation as big as Kraft Heinz actually do on a typical day?
Well, the day has been good. We always, the days that I have the chance, I'm not traveling, so I have the chance to come to the office, is always good, because then I see my team, I see the colleagues, and I see everybody. I'm always in calls with different people around the globe. So I started with a call with our president for Asia in the morning, and then I had a call with my leadership team, which includes people from Asia, from Australia, from Latin America, Middle East, so spread out across the globe. And then had a couple business reviews, but more important, like walking around the office is what really gives me energy. So I love being here.
How many offices do you have to walk around though, Rafa? You're based in London, I think. But where, presumably you head out and visit all of these places that are under you.
We are present in over 50 countries. Depends on how you look, because there are some offices where we are sitting on a distributor office, so it's not really our office, but it's our people there. You have factories that have offices inside the factory or not. But we look around between 25 and 30 offices, plus we have 43 factories, that not including North America. So outside North America, we have 43 factories and between 25 and 30 offices.
So what's interesting me about this and the kind of international role that you have is that tastes in different countries, in different areas, must be completely different. How does one person keep on top of all of those different cultures and all of those different markets that Kraft Heinz enters into and understands them all?
But that's the beauty of it. I don't need to keep track of every single one myself, right? I just have a team that does it. The beauty of it is to be able to organize a team that keeps track of all this, and then I manage to support them. So the reality is I love food. I love to understand the different, as you mentioned, the different types of food, the different, like the dynamics, the trends that are happening. But the reality is, it will be humanly impossible to keep track of everything. So the key of the job is actually to have a team that you trust, that you build like the best team that work together, and this team builds a team further, and so this power exponentially grows, and then these people in the local markets will understand the real trends, what's going on, and be on top of everything. So luckily, I don't have to be the single one being a computer mind knowing everything.
But how do you deal with the communication issues around that when you're dealing with this massive company with all of these different offices and all of these different people? I work in the communication industry with smaller offices, and it falls apart all the time. How do you stay on top of that? How on earth can you possibly communicate with all of these different places?
David, to be honest with you, I think that's the key of my job, and that's what I love the most, is the ability to communicate with different people of different cultures that are coming from different points of view and different backgrounds, living different experiences in different countries, right? So I have to go back to the team. The reality is everything works around building a very strong team. And this team will reverberate the messages across. So one of my key principles in leadership is actually living by example, or leading by example, setting the example. And the expectation is that my team will observe those things and observe those behaviors, hopefully the good behaviors, and then cascade this down. So imagine like I have about 10 people reporting directly to me, right? Effective is 12, but let's do it 10. The math is easier. Each one of them have another 10. So the moment a message goes right, like it gets to 10 people, this 10 becomes 100, and this 100 will become 1,000. So very quickly you can say, and then I'm only talking about the direct team here. Obviously they have friends, they have families, they have relationships that will naturally reverberate the message. And I think that's the beauty of what I do. I mean, the ability to influence in a way and impact the lives of many people. You see? But it doesn't need to be only me. It's actually the beauty of communication, as you said.
Yeah, and the lives that you impact goes on into the millions because of the customers. How do you communicate with them?
Look, the reality is we've been on a journey of driving creativity in a world that is so clouded with so many messages we get all day, right? From our phones and mostly through our phones, but TVs and shows and billboards everywhere. I mean, the amount of messages you get is insane. So to be able to cut this through, I mean, you have to be very creative. And that's what the culture we're trying to build here in the organization, to be able to enhance this creativity and in a way risk-taking, because as you try to be more creative, you're taking more risks. We learn more from those risks. We fail more often, but we learn from those failures. So that's kind of the culture that we're trying to implement, is a constant learning culture.
You didn't start off in this big posh office in this grand building of yours overseeing all of these people, did you? You grew up in Rio de Janeiro, I think is right.
Indeed, it's true. Like I grew up in Rio, which was, to be honest with you, David, I think that's how it shaped my personality, and even frankly, I think part of what I use a lot in my day to day is from my growing up, because Rio is a very diverse city and diverse in all aspects, okay? But I'll highlight one, which is socioeconomic level. So I had to literally play football or go surf at the beach. The beach is super democratic, right? You have the people from the slums and the richest people on the country, like industrialists and bankers, like big, super rich people and very underprivileged people. And I grew up with all of them. And I had to communicate and play with all of them. And this allows you to create an adaptability on your life, on how to adapt to different types of people, to communicate, to talk to them, to interact with them, to understand them. I think it helped me a lot on the job that I do today. So I lived in Brazil first in Rio, moved to São Paulo a few years, but I lived there for over 20 years. But then I moved to many different countries. So I lived a total 7 cities, 6 countries, 5 continents across 21 years after I left Brazil. And I mean, this ability again to navigate different countries, many of them I started to do business in countries that I had never been before, but just to interact and understand where people are coming from, where the cultural perspective is. I think it really helped me a lot and be able to navigate different markets and different people.
What do you see when you look out your office window now, and how does that compare to what you saw out your window when you were growing up in Rio?
Yeah, now I see London Bridge. There, I used to see. I used to see the lagoon that my parents lived in Rio, in front of Rio. But yeah, I think what people don't appreciate, literally, that's why I picked on purpose socio-economic difference, because I don't think people appreciate the big differences that there are, right? And now I'm fortunate to live in London, which is, with all the challenge that we believe we have here in the UK. They are very different challenges, and the challenge that we encounter in Rio, you would find poverty, and really have to deal with poverty a lot. You still have this problem as well here in the UK with lots of children that go to school every day without food or without breakfast. But the amount of people that you interact with this, of families that interact with this in Brazil is larger. So again, having to understand and adapt to this, it gives you perspective in life. It gives you a sense of even how fortunate we are, to have come that far, but also what we can do to impact other people and to help other people. And no better place to do than through food, right? That's why I'm so lucky to be in food, because everything starts with food. It's very hard I really believe in the power of education, in the importance of sports, entertainment, but all this always only work with after you have your stomach filled, right? After food. So it starts with food, and then everything else will come.
Did you ever go a day without food, Rafa?
I had a trip in Peru once when I was in high school, in university. That I wouldn't say go a day, but yeah, was pretty much 18 hours without food. It was not the most pleasant experience. We're trying to climb Machu Picchu. This was 30 years ago. A friend of us that was carrying the food, he went ahead and kind of disappeared. So we didn't see him for the full day. We only found him the next morning. So we actually didn't have food, and we thought the worst thing is we're going to have to walk another 2 days without food if we didn't find him. But then we ended up finding him, and we had some baked beans to eat.
I hope those were Heinz baked beans.
Absolutely. There's no other one. Is there another baked beans?
When you're talking about those socioeconomic problems right now, we do have the cost of living crisis here in the UK. And, a food company, like you said, food is so important. It has a role to play. How does a company like yours, I guess, judge the need for the business to do well a lot, but also provide value for customers? There must be some difficult decisions being made with you guys.
Yeah, this challenge is happening across the globe. Right? Remember, I look after many different countries with our team, with our company. We are present in many different countries, and frankly, this challenge is happening everywhere. Cost of ingredients, disruption in supply chain, labor uncertainty is happening in different scale, but across the globe. And we are always trying to balance to do the best thing for our consumers on the long term, right? So what we can do to make our products accessible and then still allow consumers to enjoy. It's something that you struggle again with creativity. Creativity is not only on communication, but how do you develop new packs, new price points that you allow consumers to enjoy the products but at the same time allow us to continue investing in the business, in our brands, and in our people. So it is a challenge. But again, that's what we are here for. Continue to delight our consumers.
But does that come up? During the high level board meetings, we're going to have to look at the costs of this. This bit is rising. We have these challenges within our markets. Are people saying, but we have to bear in mind, we have customers who haven't got any money right now?
Absolutely. Everything we do is thinking, okay, how do we delight and be available for our consumers? So, that's a very topical discussion that we have all the time. Are we providing the best we can to the consumers? So in every place across the globe.
Okay, let's go to the ads. Now, How to Be a CEO is really growing, and we're all dead excited that most of the people listening are followers of the show. It's nice to know Heinz isn't the only one with a loyal fan base. So thank you. Now go tell your friends. I can probably stop saying hit your follow button now at every ad break, but there's a few stragglers out there. So hit your follow button. Back in a sec. One thing, I've been doing some research into what you guys have been doing across markets. And one thing, I might be just inventing this. I might have just completely made this up and it might all just be total coincidence. But it seems to me that Heinz has been investing in a lot of spices recently. A lot of companies that you've been acquiring with having spice in their ingredients. Am I just imagining this? Or is Kraft Heinz kind of looking at making things a bit spicier these days?
We are always looking to make things spicier. That's definitely true. But what you're probably coming from is we made an acquisition called a company called Just Spices in the end of 2021 in Germany, originally from Germany. And it is like we have a focus, a big focus in what we call taste elevation. Taste elevation is effectively everything that the consumers use to elevate the taste of food, right? And the most obvious thing you think about is sauces. Sauces are a taste elevation product. Spices is the additional one, and then you could go from this to bouillons to stocks and other things that elevate the taste of food. That's the core of our company in terms of core competency. Is where we have the knowledge, the R&D, the consumer trends understanding. We have the brands that operate the supply chain facilities. So that's what we really understand. We believe better than anyone across the globe. So just spices is just it's just an adjacency within the sauces, a dry sauce in a way, if you think about it. So yes, it's a market that we are looking to understand. We are super excited with what we are learning and we're taking from Just Spices and taking this brand and these products across the globe. So yes, it's a market that is a category, let's put it that way, that we are very excited about because taste elevation is really the core of our company.
It wasn't just Spices on its own. You also have this deal with Ed Sheeran as well, where he's developing his own hot sauces too. How does that happen? Does Ed just phone you up and go, I want a new sauce? And you're like, yeah, right.
No, I'll tell you the story here, David, what happened. As you might know, Ed Sheeran has a tattoo of a Heinz ketchup in his arm. You can Google it, you see. And it was not paid or asked by us at all. He did it on his own years ago. I don't know exactly when, but it was many years ago. And but for his love of ketchup, Heinz ketchup, and it's a big tattoo. It's not like a tiny one. So he had this for a while, and obviously we are very proud of such an artist and such an iconic artist having tattooing our brand on his arm. So 3 years ago, we did. He already had this tattoo for a long time, but we did a campaign with him, where actually using his creativity to do with Heinz ketchup, like showing his love of Heinz ketchup. And we kept in touch since then. On a conversation our team had with him about a year ago, some time ago, he mentioned that he had this idea for a hot sauce, and a brand that Ted, which is this bear, who is his nickname and of childhood nickname, and he had even the name already thought in mind, and he said casually, like on a conversation with our team, that he had this dream of doing a hot sauce. Our team catch this concept very quickly, came back to him with a proposal saying, why don't we make this hot sauce for you? And he loved the idea. We started this partnership, so we are developing the product for him as sauces experts, but he is the real owner, the face of the brand. It has been going really well. So we launched already in the UK, in Germany. We are launching as he makes the concerts across the globe, and it will be available everywhere in the globe. He's super passionate about it. We feel extremely fortunate to work with him on it, and to be honest, the sauce is delicious. It's a hot sauce. It became already a staple on my table at home. My kids love it, so it's not too hot that people you only put a little bit, but you can use in every product. So yes, it's a partnership that we are very excited about.
I didn't know that Ed Sheeran has a Heinz tomato ketchup tattoo on him. Do you get many super fans for sauces?
What we found is the concept of irrational love. I mean, there is an irrational love for Heinz, and there is, like, from the Beatles to bringing cans of beans to India when they were doing a tour because they couldn't live without, to Ed Sheeran tattooing Heinz into his arms, and as we go through it, we find there's more and more of those stories, and then a lot. This morning I was listening, one of my colleagues telling me he got a taxi, and when the guy found out he worked for Heinz, start going over and over how this taxi driver, he needed to buy Heinz. He was originally from Iran, and his father still lived in Iran. He needed to buy Heinz bottles when he goes to Iran to take to his father, Heinz ketchup bottles. So, I mean, this kind of irrational love, that's what we try to bring on. And then with the concept that it has to be Heinz. So it's something that I think it really drives, I mean, frankly, drive me, David, with the importance of, we work for such an iconic brand that people love so much and have this passion about it. So we launched a global campaign with it, which we are going to continue, throughout the year. We literally just did it last month, but end of last month. But we are going to continue now as we connect with more stories of people that have irrational love for the brand. And I think it talks a lot to me. It talks a lot to the passion that people have to work in this company, right? And working with things that you really love and you start loving and enjoying. I mean, for me, as I said, is the people, right? I mean, I really enjoy working with the team and motivating the team, bringing working together on challenges. How do we grow together? But everyone here having the opportunity to learn what they love, and that goes around the Heinz.
What is the perfect sauce, Rafa, for you? What is it?
For me personally, it's ketchup. I mean, I don't think Heinz ketchup is iconic, and frankly, as much as other people try across the globe to copy, nobody managed to copy the exact perfection of the Heinz ketchup, the spices, the naturality, the spices that we have on it. Nobody has managed to do it. So I do think is the perfect sauce is Heinz ketchup. There are a lot of other sauces that are fantastic, that I love it, but I think Heinz ketchup is unmatchable.
Now, when I was a kid growing up, Heinz ketchup, I think it still does come in those glass bottles where you had to bang on it and you couldn't get them out. Do you have any tips for how to get stuff out of a bottle then, Rafa?
Yeah. When you turn around the bottle, bang on the 57. There's a little 57 number there. That's the perfect place to get the stuff out of the bottle.
What's the future then? So you're looking at all of these different things. Cultures and tastes all change. What sort of areas are you looking at? I mean, is it differences in food itself or in technology even of how to get things out there and how consumers are actually consuming things? David,
I'll tell you, like, it is consumer trends. People are food trends. People are experimenting a lot more, with in a way globalization. I mean, more and more people want to try new foods and foods from different places, so the experimentation is happening a lot more often, and we want to be on the forefront of that. But frankly, technology as well. I mean, as you happen, we are digitalizing a lot of our company. We use the term here called agile at scale. So we're trying to be extremely agile in every market we operate, respecting the local aspect of food, because food is very local, but then using the scale of Kraft Heinz globally to reverberate and make things bigger and impact more lives. But frankly, the most important part, I mentioned to you, the food aspect, the digitalization, but for me is people, is leadership, like how you really engage people with purpose and really doing the right thing, motivating all the teams together to impact more lives. That, frankly, you ask me on my personal impact, what I spend most of the time, it's really how do we touch more lives, more people, more consumers, more our colleagues, and make all of us collaborating together to cause a bigger impact in the world. That's the purpose that we have.
And I guess when you went into the food industry, did you expect it to be quite so constantly changing? I mean, a brand like Heinz has so much tradition behind it, but it has to constantly adapt anyway, doesn't it? How do you retain that tradition and get modernity as well?
It's an interesting comment you're making, because indeed, like, we are over 150-year-old company, brand, especially Heinz, right? Kraft as well, but especially Heinz is a very traditional brand, but has been always innovating. Heinz was the first brand to put on the glass bottles, like transparent bottles. This over 100 years ago, where you will be able to see the product through. So I mean, is a company that since our original founder, Mr. Heinz, Mr. Henry Heinz, 150 years ago, it was always on the core of the company how to do sustainable products, using a lot of using naturality, natural tomatoes, or in this case, or pickles, as he started, or the same thing happened with beans. So it has always been on the motto of the company to constantly innovate. Our job here is actually, as I said, using a lot of creativity to keep this modern, to keep this within culture, to evolve with culture. And I mean, I'm happy to say we've been successfully doing. I mean, the not that we work for that, but there was the Cannes Festival of Advertising that happened last month. I mean, we captured 21 lions, which is it's an amazing result for a company like us. So our team's really embracing the creativity. Why is this important? Because the recognition that consumers are looking at us. We are speaking. We are moving, as we call, the speed of culture. We are speaking the language of the new consumers, and you have to keep modernizing. I mean, nowadays is Instagram or TikTok, and what the language you use on TikTok, and we are experimenting a lot with that, and really that's the way you get something very traditional, very good, the same product in the case of ketchup that you had for over 100 years, and keep being so modern, so actual. That's kind of with creativity, with risk taking, with being connected to the consumers.
That was Rafael Oliveira from Kraft Heinz. How to Be a CEO will be back in 2 weeks because holidays. But you can get all the latest interviews, news and analysis from our top team of the Evening Standard every day. Pick up the newspaper or go to standard.co.uk/business. See you in a couple of weeks.